affirmative. Break. Medevac 39. Advise your 97 times 39.
Unit. Disregard with the numbers. Landline me later on today and take it to the Glen, please. Alright, 90, code 1, change the call. Say?
7-7, Roger.
June 18th, 2007, Charleston, South Carolina. At 7:08 on a warm Monday evening, a call comes in. Smoke showing at a furniture store on Savannah Highway. 3 minutes later, the first engine arrives and finds what looks like a routine call. A trash fire, burning against the loading dock behind the showroom. 35 minutes later, 9 firefighters are dead. It is the largest loss of firefighter life in a single incident in the United States since September 11th. This is the story of the Sofa Superstore fire, how it happened, why it happened, and how it forced American firefighting to change. The Sofa Superstore sat at 1807 Savannah Highway in the West Ashley area of Charleston, a retail complex that had grown piece by piece over decades. A main showroom, a second showroom, a warehouse in back, metal additions bolted on as the business expanded, and an enclosed loading dock connecting the showroom to the warehouse. The showrooms were huge, open spaces, with almost nothing inside to slow a fire down, and they were packed, wall to wall, with sofas, recliners, and mattresses. Understand what that means to a fire. Modern upholstered furniture is built on polyurethane foam. Firefighters have a name for it: solid gasoline. It ignites easily, burns ferociously, and pumps out enormous heat and thick, fuel-rich smoke. And the building had no sprinkler system. It wasn't required to have one. Older commercial buildings were grandfathered under the codes of their day. A massive fuel load, big open spaces, no sprinklers. Everything the fire needed was already in place. All it was waiting for was ignition. "7:08 p.m., the first call. Engines 10 and 11, Ladder 5 and Battalion 4 are dispatched. 7:11 p.m., Engine 11 arrives and reports a trash and debris fire burning up against the building at the loading dock. It looks manageable. Crews stretch lines, but the fire has already found its way inside the enclosed dock, and it's moving. More companies arrive. Firefighters push into the main showroom to check for extension and hit the fire from the inside. Then dispatch relays a 911 call. A store employee is trapped in the warehouse. Crews are pulled toward the rescue. At about 7:29, firefighters from the neighboring St. Andrews Department breach an exterior wall and pull him out alive. That rescue is flawless. He survives because of it. But inside the showroom, conditions are turning. Smoke is banking down toward the floor. Heat is building overhead. By 7:31, the first-in crews have been breathing from their air bottles for 18 minutes, and at least 16 firefighters are still working inside. Here is what nobody inside could see. The fire in the loading dock was ventilation limited, starved for air, but pumping superheated, unburned fuel gases into the smoke layer spreading beneath the showroom ceiling. That black smoke overhead wasn't just smoke, it was fuel, waiting for oxygen. Then the front windows failed. Some broke from the heat, others were vented. Fresh air rushed in. Federal investigators at NIST would later reconstruct what happened next with computer fire models. The fire's heat release rate exploded, and the layer of unburned fuel ignited across the showroom. 7:38 p.m., Chief Rusty Thomas orders a full evacuation. 7:41 p.m., the showroom flashes over, with at least 16 firefighters inside. Within minutes, the roof begins to collapse. Maydays go out over an overloaded radio system. Some firefighters escape by following hose lines to the door. Some are pulled out through windows and walls. 9 never make it out. Captain Mike Benke, Engine 16, 49 years old, 30 years on the job. Captain Billy Hutchinson, Engine 19, 48, 30 years. Captain Louis Mulkey, Engine 15, 34, 11 and a half years. Engineer Mark Kelsey, Ladder 5, 40, 12 and a half years. Engineer Brad Beatty, Engine 19, 37, 9 years. Assistant Engineer Michael French, Ladder 5, 27, a year and a half. Firefighter Earl Drayton, Engine 19, 56, 32 years. Firefighter Brandon Thompson, Ladder 5, 27, 4 years. Firefighter Melvin Champagne, Engine 16, 46, 2 years. Every rank, every generation, 30-year veterans, and men still new to the job. The fire service knows them as the Charleston Nine. What followed was one of the most exhaustive investigations in fire service history. An independent review panel examined the fireground, and NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, spent years reconstructing the fire itself, running hundreds of computer simulations. NIST's findings came down to 3 factors: an enormous fuel load of foam-filled furniture, large open retail spaces with nothing to compartmentalize the fire, and the inrush of air when the windows failed, which drove the fire to flashover. And one factor stood above the rest: there were no sprinklers. And NIST concluded a working sprinkler system would likely have contained this fire, and recommended that model codes require sprinklers in new furniture stores and in existing ones with large display areas. The review of the fireground was harder reading. Gaps in incident command, in crew accountability, in radio communications, in hose selection and air management, not to assign blame, but to draw a map of everything a fire department has to get right, drawn in the costliest ink there is. Charleston rebuilt its fire department from the ground up. New leadership, modern incident command, accountability systems, bigger attack lines, a new culture around air management and training. But the changes didn't stop at the city line. Charleston became a turning point in the fire dynamics research revolution. NIST and UL burned full-scale test structures to study how modern, foam-filled homes and stores actually behave. And the results rewrote the textbook: flow paths, ventilation-controlled fires, why breaking a window or opening a door can feed a fire instead of relieving it, door control, reading smoke as fuel. If you've been through a fire academy in the last 15 years, you were trained on lessons that were written in Charleston. "35 minutes. The building was legal, the fire started in trash, and the crews did what they were trained to do. It was the training itself that had to change. That's the hardest lesson in the fire service. Sometimes, the way it's always been done is the risk. The Charleston Nine are memorialized at the site on Savannah Highway, and every June 18th, the fire service stops to remember them. The best way to honor them is the way firefighters have always honored their fallen: learn the lessons and pass them on. If you want more of that, tactics, safety, and the honest truth about this career, you'll find it at firefighterconnection.com. Subscribe for the next case study, stay safe, and look out for each other. Thank you for watching. Stories like this one deserve to be remembered. And if you know a fire that should be, tell me in the comments. Every case study in this series starts with someone saying, "You should cover this one." If this video earned it, I'll helps more people find these stories. And if you want to be here for the next one, subscribe. There's more where this came from. I run 2 other channels: The Stoic Firefighter, on the mindset this job demands, and Firefighter Connection, for anyone building a career in the fire service. Both are linked below. Until the next alarm, learn the lessons, pass them on.